The Prince of Worn Cloth, a West African tale. In the kingdom of Akwuko, where the rustle of silk measured a man's worth and the weight of gold decided his kindness, there lived a boy named Chijindum. He was the only son of King Obiora, heir to the throne of Akwuko. But Chijindum was tired. Tired of smiles that bent too low. Tired of words that sounded like rehearsed songs. Tired of being seen as a crown waiting for a head, not a boy with a heart. So one night, when the moon hung lazy over the palace walls, he left. No guards, no jewels, no name. Just a boy in worn cloth, stepping into a world that had never shown mercy to people like him. The streets of Lagosu, the great city below the palace, did not welcome him. He stood hungry at a bread seller's stall. The woman looked through him, as if he were smoke. He tried to rest in a crowded square. Rough hands shoved him aside. "Move, rat." He had never been invisible before. In the palace, even silence had been loud with respect. Here, silence was a door closed in his face. It hurt more than any insult ever could. Then he met her, Adana, a girl with hands rough from washing other people's clothes, eyes tired from waking before the sun. She sat in the corner of a noisy market, selling small peppers wrapped in old leaves. She saw him, not the cloth he wore, not the dirt on his feet, just a boy, hungry and alone. She broke her bread in two, gave him the larger half. He tried to refuse. She pushed it into his hands. "Eat," she said. That was all. She did not ask where he came from. She did not care what he owned. To her, he was just another struggling soul. And she treated him with a quiet, stubborn kindness the world seemed to have forgotten. They grew close in small ways. Shared bread under the leaking roof of her small room. Quiet laughter when the rain found holes in his borrowed sandals. Long walks under dim lantern light, past the singing waters of Oshun River. In her presence, he forgot the weight of the crown. In his presence, she forgot how harsh the world could be. She called him Chiji. My God leads. She did not know how true the name was. He called her Nna, father. A small joke between them. She was the strong one, the protector, the one who provided. But truth is a bird that cannot stay caged. One evening, the market filled with noise. Guards in bright colors, silk everywhere. A voice shouting a name he had buried. Chijindum, Prince of Akwuko. The ragged boy stood up. Around him, the world changed. The crowd fell to their knees. The guards formed a wall of gold and iron. The bread seller who had ignored him now wept with joy, reaching to touch his shadow. Adana stepped back. Her eyes found his. He saw the question there, the hurt, the feeling of a door closing. "You are the prince," she whispered. Not a question, a wound. "I am Chiji," he said. But the name sounded small now, too small for the space between them. She turned, walked into the crowd. He called after her, but his voice was lost in the noise of celebration. The kingdom sang for his return. Drums played for 3 days. The king wept. The queen held his face and thanked the ancestors. Silk was laid at his feet, enough to fill 10 rooms. Chijindum stood in the palace, surrounded by everything he once had, and realized it meant nothing, because the one person who had loved him when he had nothing at all, she was not there. He made a choice, not as a prince, not as a future king, as a boy who finally understood what love truly is. That night, he left again. This time, the guards saw him go. The king shouted. The kingdom held its breath. But Chijindum walked down to Lagosu, wearing the same worn cloth from before. He found her by the Oshun River, washing clothes in the dark. "Adana," he said. She did not look up. "Go back to your palace, my prince." "I am not your prince." He knelt in the mud beside her. "I am just Chiji, the boy you fed, the boy you walked with, the boy who learned what love is from you." She stopped her work. Her hands were still in the cold water. "You lied to me. I hid, he said, because I was afraid. You're afraid that if you saw the crown, you would stop seeing me. And I was right. The moment you knew, you looked at me differently, not as Chiji, as something else. Tears ran down her face. She did not wipe them. What do you want from me? She asked. I have nothing. No gold, no silk, nothing to offer a prince. I do not want a prince's love, he said. I want yours, the one you gave when I had nothing. That is the only love that matters. He reached into his cloth, pulled out a small wooden comb, her comb. She had given it to him one night to fix his tangled hair. He had kept it. You gave me this when I was nothing, he said. Now I give you my heart, not as prince and poor girl, as Chiji and Adana, two souls who saw each other. She looked at the comb, at him, at the boy in worn cloth, kneeling in the mud. Slowly, she took his hand. They returned to the palace together, not as prince and subject, as two people who had chosen each other. King Obiora was angry, then confused, then, seeing his son's face, quiet. You left your throne for a washer girl? I left my cage, Chijindum said, and found my home. The king looked at Adana, at her rough hands, her tired eyes. He saw what his son saw, a strength that gold cannot buy. He gave his blessing, not because he understood, but because he remembered being young, remembered wanting to be seen for himself, not for the crown his own father wore. Chijindum and Adana ruled Akwuko many years later. They changed the kingdom. Silk still rustled in the palace. Gold still filled the treasury. But worth was measured differently now. A man was judged by how he treated those who could give him nothing. And love? Love was the choice to see, to share bread, to kneel in the mud beside someone who has every reason to turn away. In Akwuko, they still tell the story of the prince who wore worn cloth, of the girl with nothing who gave everything, and of the night they proved that the richest love is the one given freely, to the soul, not the crown.